feature, I did the Littorina obtusa, also known as the smooth periwinkle. Smooth periwinkles are super small. They have colored shells, which vary greatly in their color. Some are bright yellow, like that bottom picture. Some may be more orange, olive, gray, or brown. And a lot of the times, their shells will be banded with multiple of these colors. Their shells come to a low spire point here that is dull and smooth, which is what sets them apart from rough periwinkles and gives them their names. So interestingly, the color of a smooth periwinkle shell is determined by their habitat, so it's almost like they tan. In shadier shores, they may be bright yellow, and on exposed shores, they may be darker, like those browns and grays. Periwinkles are very small, they do not grow above a height of half an inch, and their shells grow to about 3 centimeters long. Now they're in the phylum Muscula, which mollusca, and there are more examples over here on the left, and they're in the gastropoda class. Mollusks are the largest marine phylum, and they make up about a quarter of all known marine creatures. And mollusca are characterized as creatures with shells, especially shells that cover the back of the body, like the snail over here. And right now, there's an ongoing scientific debate on the proper scientific names for creatures in the mollusca phylum because there are so many, and a lot of them are small and difficult to distinguish, like the smooth or common or rough periwinkles, which are all different species. Periwinkles will live in this intertidal zone. They'll live on rocks and seaweeds within this low intertidal zone. They may be found in the littoral or sublittoral zones, which you can see over here in the diagram on the left, are pretty high up in that shoreline. They like to live on what they eat, so those brown seaweeds on the rocks of the intertidal zone that belong to the family Fucus, which are rockweeds and knotted racweeds. Geographically, periwinkles are found from Labrador, Maine down to New Jersey, and they're also found in Europe, from Norway all the way to southern Spain. And Europe is their native location. More on that later. Periwinkles live in tide pools on seaweeds and rocks and other things in the intertidal zone. Now, periwinkles are a primary consumer and a herbivore, as you may expect from their size. They're not really predators. They eat northern rockweed, which they live on, and knotted rack. Their predators include crabs, dog whales, sea stars, seabirds, and humans. Of course, we aren't eating periwinkles, but we do a lot of things that destroy their habitat. Periwinkles live on these knotted racks, and knotted racks actually produce noxious chemicals. And these chemicals, we believe, repel other animals, yet attract smooth periwinkles. How do smooth periwinkles eat this knotted rack that they live on so conveniently? They use sensory tentacles on their heads to see and taste. And so when they're feeling hungry, they'll attach to seaweed if they're not already on a seaweed, and they come out of their shell to reveal a radula. And in order to eat, periwinkles will use this radula, which is a tongue-like structure, and will scrape up the algae with thousands of microscopic teeth, which you can see in the photo on the right, which I think is super cool. That's a microscopic view of the spikes on a radula. So the radula. The radula is very strong. If a lot of periwinkles were to scrape a rock over time, it would actually cause erosion. And periwinkles, of course, can move, but they don't really move fast, and I think they just prefer to localize their food source, so they will live on these rockweeds or right next to them. Periwinkles reproduce sexually. They have only two sexes, male and female, and they have a lifespan of about 5 years. Females will lay jelly-like mass of eggs onto a rockweed, which you can see in the picture on the left. When these eggs hatch, they're free-floating baby periwinkles, and they already have immediate access to a food source and a potential habitat. Periwinkles will then settle somewhere individually within the intertidal zone. And I thought it was pretty cool how the smooth, common, and rough periwinkles all have different methods of reproduction. And so this acts as an important differentiating characteristic for scientists in determining what species is which. And then, of course, the periwinkles need to have a lot of adaptations for the intertidal zone. They cannot swim, but they can breathe underwater if they find themselves in a tide pool. And to move, periwinkles utilize one very strong foot that they have, which has suction-like abilities and will keep that periwinkle very strongly attached to a rock, even in the face of violent waves. Their shell is, of course, their most important adaptation. It helps them stay safe from predators and prevents them from being hurt if they're ever smashed against a rock or faced with any other threat. Periwinkles also have something called an operculum, which is a little lid at the entrance to their shell that they can open and they seal close. This will help them to cling to rocks, but it will also protect them from predators and it will keep them from drying out if they find themselves too exposed to sunlight or air in that intertidal zone. And it's important to know that smooth periwinkles are not native to the New England area. Rather, they were introduced from Europe. So originally, we were going to breed and harvest them and eat them as escargot. I don't believe we do that at all. And currently, there's a scientific debate on whether or not the species is invasive. It's not native, not yet invasive, but they definitely take up space, food, and resources from native periwinkles. Thanks for watching. That's a smooth periwinkle, and there's my bibliography.